Hey folks, welcome to today's stream. Now this is specifically on Battlefield 2042, okay?
Bullets,
So,
explosions.
now this is, mind you, from the beginning up until just before present day release of what the game is now. So, go ahead and just leave your comments, whatever. They're your opinions. I'm not going to disagree with them. So here we go. And this is by from Big Boss, Battlefailed 2042. Here we go.
War. Bullets, explosions, chemicals. Worse. But every day, the weaponry that supplements these wars only gets better. Tens of billions of dollars, thousands of hours of manpower, all spent on technology based on one thing: complete and utter annihilation of the other side. Contraptions too sick to even ponder. And over the decades, this new technology has changed warfare immeasurably. And it's only getting more advanced. Robot dogs, sentry guns, surveillance drones, and more are either already being used or are in early stages of testing. And as a result, the landscape of war is changing forever. And with 20 years of simulating modern combat with complete
Super chat coming in with $1. Thank you, Wyatt. Thank you very much.
with their next game. And in 2021, with their most up-to-date tech, gargantuan budget, and 4 whole dev teams at their disposal, they were set to launch the biggest and best Battlefield game of all time. Battlefield 2042.
Now, I was beta testing in this also.
November 20th, 2018. Battlefield 5 has just fully...
Yeah, this goes back a few years.
Critic scores are looking good, but user reviews, not so much.
This game is totally not ready for release.
Fake history, no atmosphere, 0 out of 10.
Very sloppy SJW.
Now, one of the biggest negative aspects of... I did pause it. One of the biggest aspects of the negativity of the game was on Reddit. And I think GameSpot, yeah, they hit this game really hard. But that was early on.
Propaganda regressed into feeling like a COD game.
Also, the marketing? Not the best. Turns out that insulting your fans and telling them not to buy your game is...
Now, in the marketing aspect, that was true. Very little was ever heard of this game coming out. I think the only time it was heard was on the EA site and DICE, and a leak by one of their own programmers.
Isn't too productive here. Damn. The trailer and cosmetics of the game also proved to be controversial.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
And the launch came packaged with a horde of glitches, bad anti-cheat, unbalanced weapons, and massive portions of the game delayed. Overall, not great. It had also been 2 consecutive World War Battlefield games, and the charm was starting to wear off. Fans longed for the days of high-rise skyscrapers, map-changing events, jets, helis, and so on. Now when it comes to military shooters, DICE isn't just anyone. They're EA's golden boy. EA sees Battlefield 5's sales are, well...
Now, when I started in beta, Battlefield Bad Company, then went into Battlefield 2, and then Battlefield 3 came out. That's when the Battlefield genre really took off. And then Battlefield 4, which was really good, but still had its issues and still does today. Then Battlefield 1, which was one of my favorite Battlefields of all. Then Battlefield 5, and now today, one of my favorite shooters, Battlefield 2042.
Disappointing. So they decide it's time for a change. And they know just what players want. It's Back to the Future, kids. And this is going to be a big one. And with that, pre-production of the next Battlefield begins. Naturally, we don't hear much about Battlefield for a while. However, throughout 2021, leaks start to drip, and we get our
See what I said?
rumours of a return to Modern Warfare, a soft reboot of the franchise, a game heavily inspired by Battlefield 3, 128 players on PC and next gen. Wow. Then came the horribly grainy, seizure-inducing leaked trailer footage. Quality's not great, but we're parched. Then came another, and another. They were eventually stitched into one slightly coherent trailer, and oh yeah, now this looked like Battlefield.
I never did play Hardline.
Finally, on June the 9th, 2021, the next Battlefield is officially revealed. And it looks amazing. Also, we were now practically bathing in information. First, the bad news. The squad system is being revamped into a specialist system. Basically, this system sounds more akin to a hero shooter than a classic Battlefield game. This is controversial, but we'll have to see how it plays out. And then there's no campaign. Not a massive loss, to be honest. But that means more resources for multiplayer. Also, a ton of leaks are confirmed. 128 players, massive scale warfare, modern combat, and turns out EA is throwing 4 whole studios at it. They also say that it's way ahead of schedule. Also, there would be 3 whole...
Yeah,
Now,
no
when-
campaign really killed it.
When they say way ahead of schedule, EA is actually in the background forcing DICE to release this early, which is probably what killed its release up until the day of what 2042 is now. It's similar to what happened with another game that was forced to release, and that was No Man's Sky, which is an outstanding game this day.
game sections. All-out warfare, the traditional Battlefield experience, including Conquest and Rush, Hazard Zone, DICE's second take on a battle royale, partly inspired by Tarkov, and Portal, a game mode that includes maps, weapons, and soldiers from classic Battlefield games. Things were sounding great. And Battlefield 2042 was coming out in just 4 months, in October 2021. But then it's delayed by a month. But don't worry, everyone will have a chance to jump into the free beta in just a few weeks' time. It's Friday, October 6th, and at 12 AM PDT, the beta goes online. and
I
the
was
first few
there.
players log on.
And this is what happened.
Games. Awful player netcode results in rubber banding and abysmal hit registration. The balancing is dreadful. Bugs everywhere. And the game just generally feels off. Also, where was the voice chat? A scoreboard? Anyone?
What the hell is even that?
This was looking real bad. Redditors take to the streets within hours. But DICE has an announcement. Gentlemen, relax. The build for the beta is a few
Read the
months
chat, bro.
old. They tell us. The current build at DICE is in a lot better shape, and a ton of issues have been fixed. There's nothing to worry about.
Cyberpunk,
Redditors
not too
rejoice
impressed.
immediately. Thank God. The game was going to be fine.
for a game that's
Phew, that was a close one. And now
built
wait
the way it
for
was and then programmed for minors, nah, not for me.
Midnight, 12th of November, 2021. We'd waited months for release, and today was the day. Alright boys, it's go time. Players who'd forked out...
How old am I again?
played the game.
There's a 1 and a 7 in there someplace, and I haven't played Battlefield multiplayer yet. I've tried Call of Duty.
What the fuck
Yeah.
is this piece of shit?
This is on release day. Oh yeah, this was a huge problem with these hovercrafts. I mean, I would see endless amounts of these hovercraft in the air, and they're not supposed to do that. I would fall through the map constantly. So yeah, it had a lot of problems on release. Now that there, the hit registration, that was a big thing. And it's still happening today with hit registration in today's Battlefield 2042. And if you watched any of my stuff, I constantly say, wow, I'm watching these bullets go right through this guy's head.
Can't even turn left or right.
Of course.
Players are greeted with an experience so soul-crushingly terrible.
4022?
Broken. The game
Really?
is review-bombed mere hours after it launches. Only a handful of things from the beta had actually been fixed. In fact, for some people...
Oh, Miguel, we're going to get into that, but we're going to do this first.
performance of the beta,
This is a new trend I'll be doing for YouTube.
even worse netcode. Blurrier graphics. Coming right up. Performance is awful on PC, and flickering and pop-ins plagues console.
Oh my god, what's wrong with your face?
Some fans are holding out for a comprehensive day one patch that would fix most of these issues when the game launched for everyone, but turns out that had already gone up. Here's what it fixed. But when the game actually works, you can jump into the fleshed out and richly developed world of Battlefield 2042. The world is dark and gritty.
Hey, Miss K, how you
Climate has
doing?
gotten so bad that natural disasters are almost ubiquitous, causing states to fail everywhere.
Battlefield 4?
Millions are starving, left without a country.
It's a pretty good
Constant resource war worldwide,
game,
causing
but
Germany's bankruptcy and
the servers aren't really
so
filled
literally none of
anymore.
this matters at all. Also, if the world is so awful, why are the soldiers like this?
What a time to be alive!
Well.
Brothers in Arms. I think I played one.
Not overconfident.
That's a sandbox solo game, if I'm not mistaken.
What the hell is that?
Bullet spread in hit registration is still abominable, and people are unloading full mags of their weapons at point blank range, and not landing a single hit.
See?
There are many such cases. The balancing? Well, that's still awful too.
That is one big pile of shit.
The PP29 is almost the only viable automatic weapon, as it's the only one that can sort of land a shot. So naturally, half of the lobby is running around with it. Hovercrafts are also incredibly overpowered, being that they're gunned. They spawn almost indefinitely, and there's 10 of them headed directly towards your team at all times.
Oh, poop.
They can also climb buildings and literally fly. Then there's the squad system, essentially the core pillar of a Battlefield game. This time round, it's not looking too hot. First off, it's a game with 128 players. Your squad is limited to 4. Not a great start. Then, unless you're with friends, you're
Not
forced to
5 as
squad
it
rank.
previously was
You can't
in
pick which squad to move to,
prior
or create
Battlefield
your own.
games.
A friends come online halfway through your game? Unlucky. It's time to back out to the main menu, invite them, and search for a new one. Also, there are no squad points, no chat, no spawn preview, no emotes, and you can't see what equipment your squad is carrying.
2042 today is a good game.
Absolutely useless. Also, the addition of specialists means classes are now a thing of the past, making team play even more redundant. The specialist system also means that players on both teams look exactly the same. Didn't see that tiny friendly dot above your teammate's head? Unlucky, son.
I fired one of those at Demolition Ranch
Around 70%
a couple weeks ago.
concentrated on a couple of flags, leaving about 4 players on any other objective.
But it goes bzzz.
This is in a game of 128 people. The map size also results in running extremely long distances, only to get obliterated by snipers or helis. The actual graphics of the maps are in some cases worse than Battlefield 5. The destruction, not great. Some buildings' walls are still destroyable.
Those
You can't
snipers
take
are
down the
hellies.
actual buildings. Something you could do more than a decade ago.
Yeah, see, that's what you don't have
There are still
in
destructive events.
2042. I still haven't seen any of this kind of destruction in 2042. You can't dope your scope in 2042 like you could in previous Battlefields. Dope your scope means set the range to a specific distance within your scope. 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards, 400 yards, 500 yards. And then it jumped from 500 to 1,000. And that's when you had to take your skill to adjust within that range to get a hit.
But needless to say, they fall a bit short of the mark. The content? Where is it? This game has a total of 22 weapons. Battlefield 4 had 83. Battlefield 4 also had 3 times the gadgets, 3 more maps, and a ton more customization for aircraft and helicopters. Then there's fewer game modes at launch.
But the one thing they don't say, the difference between Battlefield 4 and 2042 is, yeah, Battlefield 4 had 82 weapons, but it took you 3 times as long to get to that top tier weapon with its modifications.
No stat page, no server browser, dog tags are gone. And
Okay. No stat page, no server browser. I've never been a fan of stat pages, ever. I've never been a fan of server browser, ever. Because with server browsers, anybody can find out where you are at any given time. I don't believe in that. Just causes problems.
so on. The movement. DICE said pre-launch that they were building on what they did with Battlefield 5. Let's take a look at that. Crouch sprinting, not in the game. Rolling, gone. Lying on your back while prone, absent.
Trick.
Grabbing a ledge while
I would probably
not in
say
the game.
Battlefield 1
Which
and
features
then
free
2042.
Like every game post 2012. Nope. You also can't dive under the water like you could in every Battlefield since 4. However, if you stab the water enough times, you can glitch yourself under it. The UI
Yes,
is so
Mr.
simple,
Reed, that
you
is
can't
correct.
tell if your settings are toggled on or off. The melee, well, it speaks for itself.
I'll tell your cousin I said thank you for his service.
But they're lazily done. The man you're about to kill is prone. Why don't you help him up, kick him back down again, then stab him in the chest?
Now, in 2042, in Battlefield 4, when someone came up behind you and tried the takedown and you hit the F key, you can reverse that takedown on the other player. Well, I can't do that in 2042. That fact has changed. If he comes up behind you, you're dead. Simple as that.
That makes a lot of sense. DICE added AI bots to the game to pad out lobbies and make sure they're never dead. One issue, they're absolutely moronic.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
And lastly, there's still no stat page, voice chat, or even a scoreboard. And all of that was just the actual game design.
Oh, unsubscribed. When are you appearing on the Unsubscribed podcast? I've already appeared, but it 2 to 3 weeks is when they're going to air it. So just keep an eye out for it. It's going to be interesting, folks. Let's get on with the viewage here.
There were the bugs. Are those my footsteps on dry concrete?
Oh,
Why
I
is my
remember
gun
this.
firing blanks? Did you just die with so much as a toe touching a wall or rock? Sorry, pal. Nothing I can do. You just parachute down from the sky? Well, there's a chance that it stays deployed after you land, meaning there's now a parachute above you at all times, completely giving away your position. Vehicle physics are slightly broken. Helicopter hot landings are hot.
And
Every
he
time you
used
jump in a
aimbot?
tank, it's so
Well,
jittery, you might as well be sat directly on top of the engine. By the way, you can actually shoot yourself with that gun while getting inside. Nice. Then there's the random people frozen all around the map, no hit detection on buildings, flying across the map using a ladder, and so on. But hey, the main game's not great. What? And has its owners pretty forgettable.
I'm new to the
But it is
chat.
portable
Anyways,
Wait, what's that? The ability to earn XP from it has been removed because of people boosting. That was enough 2042 for one day. Voice chat. A scoreboard. Legacy features. Dice response. Their scientists and engineers had been strapped for time and couldn't get them working.
hello, Hunter.
But they promised these intricate and time
Welcome to TikTok.
would eventually be implemented. But forget about that. In terms of basic features, the game seemed to have regressed more than a decade. Even the graphics in some cases. Something was clearly disastrously wrong. And naturally, the inevitable happened.
Now, what they meant, I think the term is tessellation. That's where your view perspective doesn't diminish at distance. So you can actually see mountains in the background, sharp, clear, and concise. But still today in Battlefield 4 and 2042, in the distance, buildings will look like they've been destroyed or crumbled. And then as you get closer, they'll pop in as non-destructed buildings.
What was a strong start with over 100k players on Steam soon starts to dwindle. Within a single month, the game falls below Battlefield 5's player numbers. Player numbers get so bad that cheaters literally discontinue selling their own cheats because of it.
Now,
Damage
Big
control
Boss's
mode is now on.
insertions of
What do players
graphics
need?
is
What do
impressive.
they need? What about skins? Steve, draft us up a Santa Claus outfit. That looks amazing. Jeff, whip us up a medieval knight, would you? Day of the Dead Man. Baz, get on it. What about a clown skin? A clown. Perfect. Perfect. These skins end up getting leaked ahead of their launch, and the backlash is so bad, DICE is forced to drop them. A series of DICE tweets also stokes some fires. First, a DICE employee tweets about fans' brutal expectations. A
Well,
page, voice chat,
I don't think I
DICE
revived the
score
game. I think the game company and DICE themselves revived the game.
A pre-launch tweet where a DICE employee says that the game was in a solid state and that it wasn't his first rodeo also gains notoriety. So in a shocking twist, the developers of a released AAA game.
Thank you, Phoenix. Thank you very much.
Their game. November 24th, patch 2 is released. This addresses the crazy.
Saw you on Demo
as well as
Ranch.
addressing some other balancing issues.
Pineapple
2nd of December.
Pineapple Pizza. Were you at Demolition
This
Ranch?
brings UI improvements and more.
Or did you just see the video?
Also, the scoreboard was supposed to release in this update, but that's been delayed. Also, Season 1 of the game is delayed to
Okay.
summer. A full 6 months.
Yeah, it was a
after
very
the game,
short
as DICE are so busy
video.
actually finishing the game. March 8th, 20.
The video I'm reacting to is from Big Boss.
After months of work, DICE's finest engineers and top talent working around the clock, billions in R&D, and unprecedented resource allocation, DICE had cracked it. And at the UN General Assembly, they showcase an actual, functioning scoreboard. My God. Nothing short of a miracle.
Well, Hunter, that's a decision that you're going to have to make on your own.
5 months of work post-launch, but now DICE's quantum mechanical scientists are on a roll.
Air Force and Navy have
Now they've
very
got
good.
arguably more impressive
Well, the Army does too, somewhat, but
voice chat.
they Navy and Air Force offer more training in jobs that will get you well paid in the civilian
on the team is
market.
nominated for Nobel Prizes, respectively. Oh, and after this patch, those physics-defying hovercrafts
My favorite
should no
card
longer be
game?
flying through the stratosphere. Despite these cutting-edge advancements, almost no one is actually playing the game. Over 100,000 have actually signed a
I would
petition
say
to
5
get it
card
funded.
stud.
But on June the 9th, Season 1 is finally released. Version 1.0. Finally, what DICE considered a full game. 7 months after launch, and Season 1 adds 1 map, a specialist, 2 guns...
Who's the guy always bossing you
That
around?
is the Battlefield 1's first DLC
Wow.
that included 4 maps, 2 operations, a new mode, 6
know,
new weapons...
I really can't say.
We don't know who that guy is.
We don't know who that guy is. He's an asshole, though. I will say that.
This does
I
revive the
agree,
player
that
base
guy's an
somehow.
asshole.
Season 1 also includes a ton of patches, one of which fixes the bug where landing your helicopter at the pace of a falling feather would result in
100% what he just said, and they'll take care of you
Plans to rework
better
maps and
too. I
classes
would.
are also underway. So what went wrong? Well, let's dive in. A month after the game's launch, prominent leaker Tom Henderson releases a video explaining, from his sources, the inside scoop of development. It's interesting. According to him, due to EA's restrictions on creative freedom, a ton of DICE's veteran developers leave the studio to form their own after Battlefield 5's release. This is also when
Now this happened before. This is nothing new. Back in the day in the 90s, when you played games on AOL and Genie, which some of you probably don't even know, never heard of those. But there was a game out there called Air Warrior that I played a lot on Genie and then AOL. And then EA bought out the makers of Air Warrior. It was a great game, great flight simulator, all kinds of planes, had great fun. What did EA do the minute they got their hands on it? They canned it. And then the makers left EA and developed another game called, which I do fly now. Wow, it just went right out of my mind.
production for 2022
I'll remember
is
it
just getting going.
here
EA looks
soon.
around. They see a market filled with battle royales and hero shooters, all just bursting at the seams with money. They want in, and they think Battlefield would be perfect for it. Their game plan is simple. Listen lads, see all that popular stuff out there? Do that. And DICE gets to work. In February 2019, Respawn's Apex Legends releases and basically starts printing EA money straight out the game. EA likes, so DICE takes a bit of inspiration. And in late 2019, a battle royale setting and the concept of specialists are born. Now there are a few problems surfacing. The first up being the game's engine, Frostbite. Battlefield 5 was developed in just 2 years, meaning DICE didn't have the time to update the game's engine to the newest version. This time round, however, their game had 3 years in the oven, so DICE has plenty of time to upgrade. Now, it was DICE's devs who'd actually created Frostbite in the first place, so this would be a breeze. Wait, hold on. Haven't all those devs just left? Oh god. So barely anyone left at DICE knows how to actually use the engine, and naturally, 2042's Frostbite update ends up taking a while. A long while. In fact, upgrading the engine alone takes over half of the game's development time. What was supposed to take 6 months has now taken 18. Fast forward to March 2020, and everyone's working from home now. This is not good. A process that takes a few minutes in office could now take
Got any
hours.
thoughts?
Also, EA has decided to backtrack and is now saying
It's
they want
coming.
2042 back to a more classic Battlefield formula. DICE now has to spend a ton of time redesigning the game. And
Now
the
this
original concept of 2042
set it back another 6 months.
has its own. August 2020. The concepts and ideas are finalised, and the actual game development begins. This leaves DICE around 1 year and 3 months of actual development time. This is very short for a AAA game of this scale, and that's compounded by the fact everyone's working from home. Also,
Now, you heard him say a triple-A game. Now, that's how they score games upon popularity and the amount of game activity is going to be within the game. Now, AAA game, okay? Remember that.
new devs are still joining. In fact, at this point, almost 90% of DICE's designers had joined after Battlefield 1, 60% during 2042. DICE is now a completely different studio.
I don't even know who you are.
In February 2021, EA's CEO comes out to the world. The Battlefield team is doing an incredible job. The game is way ahead of internal milestones.
Okay, way ahead of internal milestones. Now, what we have over here, 5 Desert, is that merch legit? Is it Grandpa's? What site did you go to? There's only one site to get my merchandise from. If that's the link that you're using, that's my merchandise.
Isn't that right? Sure.
Now, this is on release.
And DICE realises they're definitely not going to hit internal milestones. Frostbite engineers are then forced to drop their projects and jump on board. Time goes by, and progress on the game is made. And by August, the game is being beta tested.
Yes, I play Skull and Bones.
Long before the consensus
Trick.
is clear. This game is hot dog shit. The only option here is clearly another delay. This game could use at least another year in the oven. No, says EA. No more delays. No more ovens.
Remember what I told you about?
The game is launching this
Forced to
year.
early release.
DICE has no choice. And on the 12th of November 2021, the game releases.
And what a disaster.
2042 today is in a much more solid state, and DICE has even recently released their first reworked map. Here's how that's going. However, at this point, few people are still playing the game. 2042's Steam numbers stoop down to sub 5,000, and the game slips further into irrelevance. Claims begin to circulate that EA is now in abandoned ship mode, and that 2042 devs...
That is not happening today. More and more players are coming back to 2042.
Another
It's a
one
good
of
game
EA's
today.
once talented developers has been squeezed dry, its talents harvested, and its franchise forever tainted.
Will I be playing GTA 6? Well, most likely yes. So there you have it, folks. Battlefield 2042, from conception to its final release. What do you think?